After leaving my husband for another man, I lost everything. Now I'm facing the consequences of my betrayal and trying to rebuild what's left of my life. It had been the worst snowstorm in February that many could remember. The snow fell faster than the city could clear it away. Schools and roads had been closed for days. People were encouraged to work from home when they could. Important workers like hospital staff and police had to stay at their jobs. It felt like the entire city was on pause. For Jim and Linda's children, Emma 13 and Tommy 11, this February would be memorable for a long time. They missed 9 days of school that month. While it was too cold and snowy to play outside for long, they spent time reading, watching TV, playing games, and doing activities with their parents, who were also stuck at home. Overall, they had nearly 3 weeks of quality family time. Finally, the weather cleared up. The last week of February looked promising. Linda Carlisle and her husband Jim planned to celebrate their missed Valentine's Day on Friday, with dinner and dancing at the Madison, followed by a night at a nearby hotel. This had become their tradition since they married 15 years ago. Linda had a new dress for the occasion, but decided to keep it a surprise until they went out. Their plans were set, reservations made, and a babysitter for the children arranged. On Wednesday, Linda told her best friend about their plans, and suddenly the plans changed to include 4 other couples they often socialized with. Linda knew Jim would be a bit upset that their special date turned into a group event, but she felt there was not much she could do as she took charge of the planning. When Jim got home, it was all arranged. The other couples thought celebrating together was a great way to mark the end of a tough February. What started out as a quiet dinner for 2 at the Madison became a gathering for 10, with the other couples booking their own nearby hotel rooms. Jim felt disappointed, but it lifted a bit when Linda excitedly shared, "You'll get to see my Valentine dress. We'll enjoy dinner, dance, spend time with friends, and then leave early. We'll still have time together, and I arranged a late checkout. I have a surprise waiting for you when we get back to our room." Jim thought about the friends they would be with. He wasn't very fond of Dr. Ratgard, and her husband Dave D was Linda's best friend, but he found her a little controlling. He suspected she might not be completely faithful to Dave, but he wasn't sure if Dave knew about it. Jane Miles was also flirty, and Jim felt uneasy every time she gave him attention, even though she also flirted with others. Her husband Phil sometimes made comments that were not appropriate, especially after he had a few drinks. Gail Nolan and her husband Bob seemed to be a good match. Jim thought they might have an open marriage. He once stopped the conversation about changing partners by saying he believed that any cheating was still cheating, a belief that Linda backed completely. Jim's favorite couple was Trisha and Bill Easton. They showed real love for each other and respected their commitment. He enjoyed spending time with them. Friday afternoon, Jim left work early to take Emma and Tommy to his brother's house for a sleepover. He needed to pack for the night, take a shower, and get dressed before Linda came home. He often wondered why it took Linda so long to get ready after being at the beauty salon for a few hours. Linda arrived just as Jim was finishing his shower and led him to Tommy's room to get his clothes. She quickly packed a suitcase Jim had started for himself, which had clothes for coming home and new outfit for later, and a few grimming items. "No need to pack anything else. I want to keep it easy," she told herself, as she added a towel to keep everything together. Linda laid out the outfit she planned to wear that evening on the bed. Before putting it on, she admired herself in the mirror, feeling good about how she looked. She saw a woman in her mid-30s who appeared younger. Though she noticed a little extra weight here and there, she felt confident about her shape. Thinking about the evening had made her feel excited and hopeful. She knew Jim would love it. As she looked in the mirror, she smiled at that thought, which made her look forward to the night even more. Next, she put on black stockings that had lace tops, which felt secure enough that she knew they wouldn't slip down. She didn't plan to wear a garter belt, so this was handy. The electric blue dress was shiny and smooth against her skin. It had 2 straps that tied behind her neck, showing a hint of her figure. The back of the dress had slits over each leg, allowing for elegance while still being respectful. Linda had thought about using some silicone covers for her dress, but she realized they might draw too much attention, so she decided not to wear them for the night. With one last look in the mirror, she added a touch of Jim's favorite perfume and adjusted her hair and makeup slightly. Taking a deep breath, she turned and opened the door. As always, Jim was ready to appreciate the reveal as Linda made her way down the stairs. This was another tradition for their Valentine date night that he truly enjoyed. Jim thought his wife was beautiful no matter what they were doing, but she always found a way to look even more special for their outings. When she came down the stairs, Jim felt like a goddess had appeared. She looked more stunning than ever, reminding him of the day she walked down the aisle to him 15 years ago. After she reached the bottom of the stairs, Jim finally found his words. "You look more beautiful than I've ever seen. How about we stay in tonight?" "Thank you. You look great too. But if we don't go out, we might hear about it later." "That's fine with me. I'd prefer to enjoy you all to myself tonight. Just remember, we'll keep it short and be back in our room soon. Now please grab the suitcase and help me with my coat." At the hotel, they checked in, left the suitcase in their room, and freshened up before heading out. Just as they were about to leave, Linda remembered something. Wait a minute, I forgot something. Stay here. She quickly ran back, then returned. All right, let's go for dinner. They walked out hand in hand, chatting about light topics that couples enjoy when they have a moment together. After checking their coats at Madison, they were led to their table. Other couples had already ordered drinks, and the waiter quickly took their drink order, letting everyone look at the dinner menu. Soon their drinks arrived and they ordered dinner, which they savored. Much of the talk was about the recent weather, stories of storms, updates about work, and their children. As the band set up, the waiter cleared the table and asked if they wanted more drinks. When the band started playing, a few couples headed to the dance floor. Phil turned to Linda. You look wonderful tonight. Would you dance with me? Before Jim could say anything, Linda said, Thanks, Phil. Tonight is special for Jim and me, so I'll be dancing with him, smiling. Jim extended his hand in that case. May I have this dance? With a bright smile, Linda took his hand and Jim led her to the dance floor. After a few songs, they returned to their table. Some couples were still dancing, while Gail and Bob stayed at their table. Linda invited Gail to join her at the restroom, leaving Jim and Bob to talk. When they returned, the band announced a break, and everyone headed back to their tables or the restrooms. We timed that well, Linda said. As she and Gail settled back down, Linda moved her chair closer to Jim, took his hand, whispered something to him, and leaned in for a quick kiss. Their playful moment caught the attention of everyone at the table. Jim noticed that Linda wanted to keep something private from their friends. As the table shared laughs, he felt a small, soft item in his hand. He took a careful look at it, recognizing its value, and put it away safely. During the band's break, a large group came in and sat at a couple of tables across the room. Excited chatter filled the air as the new guests included a well-known local person. Jim saw the buzz in the room, especially among the women. He understood why this man was popular in theirs. He was tall, strong, confident, and well-dressed. You couldn't watch the news without hearing his name, even when there wasn't much going on. So Jim understood why Mark attracted attention and why everyone was so excited. As the band got ready to start again, Mark walked over to greet them like old friends, and then moved around the room saying hello to people. The music began and folks at other tables stood up to dance. Linda was still holding Jim's hand under the table when she said, I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm a bit tired, Jim. How about we head home? Everyone at Jim and Linda's table gasped. Their friends were staring at something behind them. Jim turned to see Mark standing right behind him, looking down at Linda and offering his hand. Excuse me, you are the most lovely lady here. May I have a dance with you? Linda hesitated, then let go of Jim's hand, turned toward Mark, and took his hand as she stood up. Jim tried to push his chair back to confront Mark, but Mark had positioned himself to block him. Then they were gone, leaving Jim stuck in his seat. Phil commented that Linda only danced with Jim until something better came along, which got him a quick nudge from his wife, Jane. Jim started to speak up, but Dee interjected, Jim, it's just a dance. She'll be able to share this story for years. She'll be back in a few minutes and you two can leave. Then Jim realized that stopping the dance would only cause more trouble. As Dee said, it was just one dance, but then it turned into a second dance. And a slow one without Linda. The third dance, another slow one, was just starting when Jim saw Mark and Linda leaving the dance floor. They talked briefly before returning to their tables. Jim began to feel calmer when he noticed Linda's smile. She looked bright and happier than ever, but when they made eye contact, her smile faded and her joy seemed to lessen. Something felt off, and Jim sensed immediately. He didn't know what was wrong, but he knew he needed to stay alert. He saw Linda glance at Dee, and maybe it was the tension in the air that made him notice it so clearly. There was an unspoken urgency there. When they reached the table, Dee stood up quickly and said, I need to run to the restroom. Linda, I think you could use a little freshening up too, and off they went. Jim noticed Mark finishing his drink and heading toward the coat room. He got up from the table and said, I think we should grab a couple of drinks. I'll have plenty of time before they come back. Just then, a couple of Mark's friends stopped Jim as he'd approached the bar. The bigger one said, You're not planning to cause any problems, are you? Jim answered quickly, Depends. I'm just getting my coat and leaving. What do you mean? He waved to a couple of security guards by the bar. They waved back, looking a bit surprised. To Jim's relief, Mark's friends turned and went back to their table, deciding it would be better to help Mark rather than have a scene. After a short talk with the coat check girl, Mark went out the back door without Linda's coat. Jim moved to the back door, peeked out, saw Mark, and found a spot where he could wait without being noticed. Mark was just standing there waiting for his car, and Linda was nowhere to be seen. Jim felt a little better. Maybe he had been wrong about things. As he waited in his hidden spot, a red Ferrari pulled up. The driver jumped out, ran around, and handed the keys to Mark. Instead of leaving, Mark chatted with the driver. Jim guessed Mark was waiting for someone, and he soon realized who it was. The door opened and Linda stepped out. She walked over to Mark by the car without looking around. You weren't able to get my coat? Mark asked. No, the attendant wouldn't let me without the ticket. Looks like I'll have to manage without it. I can't ask Jim for the ticket. Now, the attendant spoke up. Mr. Lavalier, give me a moment. I can run in and get the lady's coat for you. Thanks, I'd appreciate that. It seems to have gotten much colder since we arrived. While waiting for the attendants to return, Linda thought about her time dancing with Mark. She had found him intriguing. When he suggested they leave together, she had quietly agreed, feeling swept up in the excitement. Now, outside in the chilly air, Linda considered what she wanted for the night, her thoughts racing between excitement and doubt. She wanted to be sure that she was making the right choice. I want to be with you tonight. Take me home. Mark's confident smile showed he felt he had won her over easily. After all, he was Mark Lavalier. Get your hands off my wife. Jim hadn't meant to shout so loudly. He was walking toward the couple, and his voice was loud enough to draw attention. Linda, taken aback, stepped back a little. I said, keep your hands off my wife. No one noticed a small group gathering or the security guard calling for help. After seeing situations like this get out of hand, before Jim stepped in between them in a smooth move, Mark raised his hands, signaling Jim to step back. From one man to another, I thought you'd understand. Yes, she is your wife, but tonight she has decided to be with me. I'll make sure she returns to you tomorrow. He looked at Jim, waiting for him to accept the situation. Jim looked Mark in the eyes, trying to control his anger. No, she's not going anywhere with you. Tonight is our special night, not yours. Neither man noticed many in the crowd recording the scene with their phones. That's not true. She's with me tonight, so go home and wait. I'll bring her back tomorrow or Sunday if she wishes to stay longer. She will be just fine. She will be your wife again. Jim turned to Linda. Is that true? Are you really going to leave with him? Tonight. Linda felt a rush of emotions. Anger at Jim for interrupting, fear of telling him the truth, and confusion about what to say. She hesitated, feeling uncertain. Maybe, she said softly. Jim's frustration grew. This is not a maybe question. Are you going with him tonight? Yes or no? Defiantly, Linda replied, yes, I am going with Mark. I'm going to be with him happy. I'll be home tomorrow. For over 15 years, I have been a good wife and mother. I deserve this night. Mark smiled, pleased with how things were turning out. Looking Linda directly in the eyes, Jim said in a flat tone, well, Linda, remember every choice has effects. Mark reached for Linda's arm. Let's go. He assisted her towards the car and opened the door for her. Anger boiled inside Jim, but he tried to stay calm as he followed them to the car. He took a deep breath. Unsure of what to do next, Mark closed the door and turned to Jim. He pushed Jim back, expecting him to stagger, but Jim stood firm. Suddenly, Mark tried to hit Jim, but Jim dodged just in time before anything more could happen. Two security guards stepped in, pulling the two men apart and moving Jim a few steps away. One guard recognized Mark and assumed Jim was the troublemaker. Mark told them it was a misunderstanding, that no one was hurt, and they just wanted to leave. The guard, sensing the situation was not as serious as it seemed, let them go without further questions. Jim heard the roar of the Ferrari engine as they drove away. Realizing that this was the end of his marriage, Jim felt empty as he went back into the Madison. It felt like he had lost everything in that moment. As he walked past the restrooms, Des spotted him. Oh, there you are. Are you looking for Linda? I'm sorry she's not here. She left with Mark. I know she told me. How did you know? Did she ask you to help her slip away? Calm down, Jim. Yes, she asked me for a distraction until she was gone. She didn't want you to feel embarrassed. She also wanted me to tell you she loves you and will come back tomorrow to fix things. She knows you wouldn't deny her this chance because you love her. What that's hard to believe. No, Jim, Linda loves you and the kids more than anything, and she always will. But she is spending tonight with Mark. Jim stood there, feeling lost and sad as memories flooded back to him. The moments he shared with Linda, and the sudden fear of what he might lose. She'll come home to you tomorrow, and you will have many more special nights together. She didn't even have the courage to tell me she was leaving. She was just going to sneak out while you made excuses for her. Jim, listen to me, she hasn't left you. Well, if she hasn't left me, then where is she? She sure isn't with me now, is she? Jim raised his voice, not caring who heard him. Please calm down, people are watching. I know this hurts, but it's just for tonight. Linda knows. We all know that you are the only man for her and always will be. You're the good guy. Yeah, and we all know where the good guy ends up, don't we? Jim, it isn't like that you're making this too big. It's only one night. She'll come back tomorrow and things will return to normal. Jim scoffed if she truly believed that there was nothing he could say. So friend, what was your role in this? You didn't really need to go to the restroom, did you? My wife signaled you right, told you to keep me busy long enough for her and the other guide to leave. Yes, she asked me to do that because she didn't want you to make a scene while Mark was there. She also wanted you to remember that she loves you and will always come back to you. Yeah, Jim thought. I'll remember exactly how much she loves me tonight for a long time aloud, he said. More like she didn't want me to embarrass her as she walked away from her husband to spend the evening with someone else. Did you ever think to remind her she has a husband and a marriage that might be at risk? Dee looked him directly in the eyes. No, it didn't occur to me, because I know she won't lose you over this. You're too good for that. I told her how lucky she is. She's lucky because the man every woman here wanted her, and even luckier because she has a husband willing to look past his pain and not blow this out of proportion. She'll do everything she can to make it right. What if it can't be made right? What if there's no way to fix this? Jim, I know how much you care about Linda, and I know she cares about you too. This doesn't have to be a disaster. It's just one night compared to all the years years of love you've built together. It only becomes a big deal if you let it. She'll come home over time, you'll be okay. Dee spoke calmly and sincerely. Jim struggled to hold back his frustration. It seemed like she didn't understand the reality of the situation. So if he had chosen you instead, as you hope he would, you would have done the same thing I would, she replied sharply. Does Dave know that? No, and he doesn't need to. I don't think it will ever come to that, she answered softly. Maybe I should tell him, Jim. Please don't. That won't help. I know you're hurting, but don't make a choice you might regret. Come back to the table with me. Let's distract you for a bit. You haven't danced with me at all tonight, she said, trying to smile. I wanted to dance with my wife, but because of you, her and Mark, that isn't happening now, is it? Jim turned away and went back to the table. The conversation stopped as he arrived. Their averted eyes spoke volumes. They knew what had happened, Jim. Are you going to be okay? Dave asked cautiously. After he seated Dee, Jim wanted to share what Dee had said to ask if he'd be okay, but the words wouldn't come. He settled for a hard look. Deep down, he knew he still had the habit of being the good guy that needed to change. It depends on what you mean by okay. A few nervous laughs followed. I mean, yes, it was a terrible thing to do, but you two will be okay, right? You're not really going to end your marriage over this, are you? I don't see why I shouldn't, Jim said coldly. Guests filled the room. Why are you all surprised? He asked. You knew how Linda and I feel about being faithful. It's all or nothing. We made that clear a long time ago, or at least I thought we did. But Jim, it's Mark LaValliere, Dee said. Jim silenced her with a cold glare. So what? I don't care who it is. If it isn't me, that's the end. Jim, what about your kids? You love them and they need you, Jane reminded him. Her kids were close in age to Jim's and friends with them. You mean like their mother is thinking about them right now? Well, that's why you hired a sitter to have a break from thinking about them, Dee said jokingly. But it didn't land. Well, come on, Jim. It's just one night. A rare chance she won't have again. You wouldn't really end your marriage over one night? Why not? Jim shot back. Silence followed Jim. Maybe think of it this way. Jane tried to encourage him. If a model from a magazine walked in tonight and chose you, saying she wanted to spend time with you, would you really say no? Can you honestly say you'd turn it down? Jane asked, her eyes full of hope. Jim stood and looked down at her. Yes, I would be tempted, but I would say no. I have a wife and I don't want to hurt her. At least that's what I would have done before tonight. A heavy silence filled the table. Jim glanced around at his former friends. Realizing they were all on Linda's side, he felt a distance from them. Pulling out a 20, he placed it on the table. This will cover my bill. Since you're all backing the person I came with, you can take care of her bill too. He turned and walked out of the club. As he left, Jim picked up both coats easily. The attendant hadn't been able to get Linda's coat back. His anger faded into deep sadness during the walk back to the hotel. This was supposed to be a night he and Linda would share, walking together, having fun with friends, enjoying the evening side by side. Instead, he walked alone. The streets felt colder without her. He rode the elevator quietly, pushing aside memories of past evenings filled with laughter and warmth. Entering the hotel room alone, he faced the emptiness of what was meant to be their special night. On the bed lay a new outfit Linda had brought, probably for the occasion. It was clear she had planned something special. Jim picked it up, stared at it for a moment, and then placed it in the trash along with her coat. There was nothing left for him in that room. He told the front desk he needed to leave early due to a family emergency, and then headed for his car. On the drive home, Jim began planning what to do next. It was Linda's first time riding in a Ferrari. The car was sleek and fast, but felt a bit cramped. She sat beside Mark, unsure how to feel in the tight space. They chatted lightly as the car sped along. Linda glanced at Mark, occasionally trying to hide her nerves. Mark kept one hand on the wheel and sometimes smiled at her, reassuringly. This is all new to me, Linda said quietly in a Ferrari. Mark asked with a chuckle. Yes, and in other ways too, she replied. Well, sometimes change can be exciting, he said with a friendly tone. Linda stared out the window, watching the streets go by. Snow began to, yet she barely paid attention. When they reached Mark's house, he helped her out of the car. They stepped into the garage, escaping the cold outside. As they entered, the lights turned on automatically, and soft music began playing in the background. Mark adjusted the thermostat to make the space warmer. The atmosphere was cozy and inviting. Still dressed for the evening, they began to dance slowly. The music had a soothing rhythm, and the closeness between them was clear. Linda leaned Aggie NSD Mark, feeling a mix of confusion and excitement from feelings she didn't quite understand. Mark moved carefully, giving her space but still being there for her. They swayed together to the music, feeling a quiet connection. It was an unusual moment that neither of them could fully grasp. After a while, Mark stepped back to take off his jacket. Linda, still unsure, looked around the room. They shared a long sun. What happened next was unspoken. Instead, they sat back on the couch, not saying anything for a bit. The feeling that had brought them close now shifted to thoughts and uncertainty. Outside, snow softly covered the ground. Only emergency vehicles were on the roads. I need to call Jim and let him know I'm stuck here and not sure when I can get home. He'll be upset. Skit. I just hope he can't go out and do something we'll regret, Linda said. Mark perked up at her words. He's not someone who could cause trouble, is he? I wouldn't have approached you if I thought that Dean ever mentioned he'd be an issue. Don't worry, he's a good man, the best husband ever. He's never been hurtful and hardly ever raises his voice. But we agreed on what could happen if trust is broken. I wanted to make things right, but now I can't. If I can't get home this morning, where's my phone? I need to call Dee. Maybe she can help figure things out. Linda rushed upstairs to grab her phone and called Dee. Hey girl, what are you doing up so early? Or did you not sleep at all? Welcome to my world, Dee sounded lively. You should have seen Jim after you left. He looked upset and defeated when he got back to the table. Now spill the details. Listen to me, Linda said in frustration. We're snowed in. I can't get home. What am I supposed to do? Well, that's a situation. I see 3 options. First, don't tell him and let him worry until he's happy to see you when you get back. Second, call him and explain what's going on and hope to fix things. Or third, just enjoy your time here while you can. But judging by Jim's mood last night, if you choose option 2, you might need some extra help to make it right. What if the snow lasts longer than I really don't know? You're in uncharted waters. I'll help as much as I can, but you should know I'm the one he blames for your being here. Not sure you want my assistance? You might be right. What should I do? I care about him a lot and can't imagine losing him, my marriage, or my family. Mark, who had been listening, chimed in. Just relax and enjoy your time. Jim will be upset, but he'll get over it soon. Turning to Mark, Linda added, for both him and Dee's sake, everyone has a limit. I might have already crossed a line. I can't come back from goodbye, Dee. I don't know if I'll be able to see or talk to you again. Linda paused to think about what to do. With a sigh of determination, she quickly dialed Jim's number. It rang, but she only got a message saying the phone was off. She then sent him a text. I know I said I'd be home today, but snowed in, and Mark can't take me back. I don't know how long I'll be here. Love you. Linda stared at her phone, hoping Jim would reply soon, but there was no response. The lights flickered twice before the power went out completely. Mark smiled at her as she set her phone down. How about I put on some clothes, grab some wood from the pile outside, and we can build a nice fire. We can take out a couple of blankets and relax in front of it. Mark went upstairs and came back a few minutes later, dressed in sweats. Outside, he noticed boxes stacked in front of his garage. Curious, he brushed the snow off one of the boxes and opened it. He was surprised to find it was full of women's shoes. He grabbed a load of wood and went back inside, dropping it in front of the fireplace. As he arranged the wood, he said, "This is really strange. There are several boxes by my garage. One of them has women's shoes in it. Who would put boxes of shoes here?" "What do you mean, what kind of shoes?" Linda asked, starting to feel anxious. "I'm not sure. They look like women's high heels. They must have been here for a while since there's snow on top of them. Let's go take a look. I'm not dressed to go outside right now. I only have on what I wore last night. Do you have some sweatpants and a shirt I could borrow, maybe a jacket too?" Mark's clothes were a bit big, but they would keep her warm. When she looked in the first box, she gasped. "These are my shoes? What are they doing here? How did they end up here? What else is in those boxes?" As they opened more boxes, they found clothes, cosmetics, and personal items. Linda recognized everything as hers. "Oh no, Jim has thrown me out. He moved all my things here. What can I do? I need to tell to Dee again. I have to find a way back. In the meantime, Mark, can we move these boxes into your garage to keep them safe from the snow?" Reluctantly, Mark agreed. "Sure, let me open the door so we don't have to carry the boxes inside." They brushed off the snow and moved nearly 30 boxes into the garage. Back inside by the fireplace, they took off their cold, wet clothes. The warm fire felt nice since the house was starting to get chilly. Linda grabbed her phone and called Dee again. Dee answered. "What's the good news?" Linda cried. "Dee, Jim had all my stuff sent here." There was silence on Dee's end. In tears, Linda begged, "What am I going to do? What can I do?" After a moment, Dee replied, "I don't know. I didn't expect this reaction from Jim. You've always said he gives you everything you want. Maybe he's just upset and he will change his mind soon. I can't stay here while he cools off. Where can I go? It seems you are stuck there for now. The city is asking everyone to stay off the streets except for emergency workers. What about your parents? Perhaps you can stay with them until the storm ends and Jim calms down. I'm not sure that's an option. I didn't tell you, but my parents know about our Friday night and have already talked to me about my choices. I think they would agree with Jim. Oh no, he may have already told them." Linda's phone beat, letting her know the battery was low, and before she could say goodbye, the phone died. "Mark, my phone just died. Can I use yours? I need to find out more about what's happening. I don't have a landline, since I'm not here enough to need one. You can use my mobile." Mark got his cell phone and handed it to Linda. "Can I make a couple of calls from the bedroom?" "Sure, I'll go get some more wood for the fire in the bedroom." Linda turned on the phone, saw it was fully charged, and went to contacts. She realized she didn't have any of her contacts, and the only numbers she remembered were her home phone, Jim Sull, and her parents' numbers. Well, here goes, she thought, holding her breath. She dialed her home phone. She felt relieved when the answering machine picked up and Jim's voice asked her to leave a message. Nervously pacing, Linda left left her message. Jim, I found my things where you left them. I'm sorry for how I heard you last night. I had to do what I did. Mark promised to bring me home this morning, but we're snowed in and I can't leave. We have no power and my phone is dead. Mark is letting me use his phone, so please don't try to call me. I don't know when I'll get home. Just know I love you and I believe we can get through this. Linda hung up and flopped on the bed, second-guessing what she had said in her message. As Linda looked around the bedroom, she saw some straps attached to the bed. She dialed her parents' number and waited for them to answer, thinking about how to explain everything. Her thoughts were interrupted when her dad picked up the phone. "Hello, Dad," she said, relieved it was him and not her mom. "I really messed up. I left the club with a guy and now I'm stuck here with him and can't get home. What should I do?" There was a long silence. "I'll put you on speaker so everyone can hear what you have to say. Everyone who's there. Just your mom, me, and your husband. Now go ahead and explain." Linda hung up. Jim had been at Linda's parents' house for over an hour and had already shared his side of the story. He was surprised by how caring and understanding they were. He thought they would deny it, but Jeff and Rebecca did not. Instead, they said Daddy was a bad influence and told Jim they had to stop Linda from making bad choices before, without going into details. "What are you going to do now?" Rebecca asked. "Are you going to get her things back and try to fix this? I love you and Jeff, but I just can't see a future for Linda and me as a couple. We agreed that cheating is wrong, and even one time is enough to end a marriage. I care for Linda deeply, but I can't accept this. I will be asking for full custody. I promise you will still get to see your grandkids, and I know you will help Linda since she is your daughter, but I will miss both of you." "Nonsense. You are always welcome here. If Linda doesn't like it, that's her choice. If she stays here, there will be some strict rules she must follow." They were having coffee and sweet rolls when the phone rang. Jeff answered. After explaining who was on the line, he switched to speakerphone, but the call ended. Jeff looked at Jim before I put her on speaker. She said, "She is stuck at Mark's place and wants me to tell her what to do. If it weren't so sad, it might be funny. There is nothing funny about our daughter spending time with Dee and her friends and abandoning her husband." Rebecca said, "I hoped our talk would make her think twice. I guess it didn't. Thanks for understanding. I wanted to share this with you in person. I should get going. I need to pick up the kids from John and Allie." Linda came out of the bedroom in tears and found Mark taking care of the fire. It was crackling nicely and warmth spread through the room. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Did the calls not go well?" "No, Jim wasn't home, so I left a message. Then when I called my parents, Jim was there. I hung up." "That doesn't sound good," Mark said. "Try to sound concerned with the power out. The house is getting colder faster than I thought. Let's move the couch in front of the fire for some warmth. I'll grab blankets from the guest rooms. We can stay close to feel warm." The thick snow clouds made it look much later than mid. By the time they arranged the furniture, the blankets and warmth from the fire felt nice. They settled in together. Was it more true to say he belongs to her right now? She thought Linda had crossed an important line in her past experiences. Mark didn't rush. He took his time, slowly bonding with her, even without discussing it. Mark felt he was showing her something new he've always liked, uncovering parts of his partner's life that had not been shared before. As usual, Linda felt the energy of the moment growing stronger. She became more involved. Mark reached out gently, offering comfort while adjusting the idea they were using. She felt herself rising in happiness again and again. Then she leaned forward and the shift brought her another wave of joy. As Mark held on to her, Lind lost track of everything. When Linda came back to herself, she found she was free. The items were gone, and she and Mark were cuddled on the bed. The bed was warm, and she felt a cozy scent around them, but she was too tired to notice and felt heavy. She fell asleep. When Jim left Linda's parents' house, he felt relieved, knowing they understood what he needed to do and why. They were upset with Linda's choices, but would support her as best as they could. If she chose to stay there, her life would hardly be better than being confined, and she would need to see a counselor. Now he had to face an even bigger challenge. He had to explain to his kids why they would be living with only one parent without making them resent either one for the family breaking upon. Emma and Tommy were thrilled to see their dad when he arrived at their aunt and uncle's house and rushed out to hug him. Their excitement and love brightened his mood. "We were planning to build snowman this afternoon. Come in for a cup of hot chocolate before we start on the snowman," said Allie from the porch. They all came inside, shook off the snow from their shoes, and gathered around the kitchen table to talk about who would build the best snowman. They split into teams. Emma wanted Jim on her team, and Tommy picked John. Allie would judge fairly. They dressed warmly and were about to head out the door when Allie pulled Jim aside and whispered, "I talked with Sam. I'll update you when you return." Jim nodded gratefully as he walked out the door. Over the next 2 hours, the fun never stopped, and there wasn't a quiet moment. Jim didn't have a second to think about Linda. More neighbors joined in the friendly contest as new families came out to participate. When it was time to pick the winner, everyone agreed that the three mothers would make the decision. It was a tough choice, but Emma Snowman took first place because she wanted it to hold one of her dolls. Soon, everyone was laughing and enjoying themselves as they sat around the table drinking hot chocolate again. "Tommy, why don't you take a warm bath in the the hall bathroom and put on your pajamas. Emma, you can use the master bathroom, Allie said. The two kids protested, but Jim intervened and off they went. Once they were alone, Jim asked, John, have you talked to them about Linda and me? No, I wouldn't know how to bring it up. I don't know either. Do you have any idea what your next step is? Only in a general way. I can't see any other option but divorce. We've always agreed cheating is not acceptable. I just can't believe she did this and showed such disrespect for me. Do you think someone influenced her? Or maybe she's not thinking clearly? No, that's not it. She looked right at me and said she was leaving with him, and I had no say in it. I think Dee and Linda's friends have been swaying her. John just shook his head. About that time, Emma came into the kitchen and jumped into Jim's lap for a big hug. Allie followed her, smiling widely. I'm going to start dinner. You are all staying the night, right? Jim nodded. That would be great, so we don't have to go out into the snow at night. Dinner was nice, but Jim barely touched his meal, while Emma and Tommy ate like they hadn't had anything to eat all day. After dinner, John said, we rented 5 movies. Knowing Emma and Tommy were coming over, they have seen all but one. Maybe we can watch that as a group. The kids cheered loudly in agreement. I'll get everything ready, and you and Ellie can clear the table and chat. John said, thanks, John. Ailey, I'll take the dishes to the kitchen. And you can start loading the dishwasher. Once the dishwasher was loaded and running, John asked, what did your friend find out about her lawyer? Not much. I told her about your situation and said, you're a really good person who doesn't deserve this. The lawyer is named Karen Newsom. Sam said she's a good person and doesn't tolerate cheating. Sam also mentioned that your chances of getting custody might be challenging, but since Linda left so publicly, that might help. That's what I was hoping for, Sam said. Instead of just giving you Karen's contact information, she will call her and see if she will talk with you. I told her you would probably be here tonight, but would likely return home tomorrow. Sam didn't make any promises, but said she would try. Jim, I know you don't want to go through a divorce. I'm just sharing information so you can make the right choice. Yes, Ali, I understand and really appreciate your support. Both kids were asleep on the sofa when the phone rang at 8:00. Ali answered it quickly. She handed the phone to Jim and signaled John to help her get the kids into bed. They didn't come back. Hello, Jim, said into the phone. Hi, Jim. This is Karen Newsom. One of my former clients asked me to speak with you so you could find out about your options concerning a divorce. Hi, Karen. Yes, my wife left me in a very public way to spend the night with another man. His name is Mark Lavalier. She seems to think she can do that. Oh, so that was you, Karen said, interrupting him. I don't see anything but divorce in our future. What do you mean that was me? Didn't you know videos of your argument and your wife leaving with Mark RCA going viral on social media? No, I had no idea. This might sound selfish, but I was hoping you would choose me to handle your divorce. After a moment of silence, Karen added, Oh, I'm sorry that wasn't professional. Let's start fresh, is that okay? Sure, let's start over the loo. This is Jim. Hi, Jim. I'm Karen. I'm a lawyer who focuses on divorce cases. I understand you have questions. Let's begin with the fact that I will be getting a divorce, so no chance to work things out. How about counseling? Do you think that might help? No, I'm not interested. There's nothing to fix. We've agreed. This was the end, I understand. My first question is, what are my chances of getting custody of my son Tommy and my daughter Emma? How old are they? Tommy is 11 and Emma is 13. Usually it's hard to get custody, especially at their ages. But since your wife left you so publicly, and it's been all over social media, your chances have increased. If you can show that you're a good parent who can care for them, your odds will improve more. It won't be easy, but you can be hopeful. How complicated is this going to be, and how can I best protect my children? It depends on your wife. I would suggest listing reconcilable differences to keep things key. We could consider a more serious claim as a negotiating tool. You might have to agree to some counseling. I don't think counseling would help, but if needed. Okay, how long does counseling typically take? That varies by judge, and they often work with help from the counselor. The conversation went on for over an hour. There were no big surprises. How do we start the next steps? Someone asked. I suggest you go online to cancel your shared credit card if possible, pay them off, and separate half of your shared assets into new accounts in your name. Think about how you will divide up the home. Keep a record of everything you do. We need to track every cent. I've already paid off and canceled our shared credit cards. I think the house and furniture should go to whoever gets custody of the kids. I've also taken her personal items out good. Where did you put them? I sent them to Mark's place. Karen burst into laughter. That's a new twist. I will need to think about it to see if there's any downside, but I love it. I want to hear all about it. Jim shared how he had Linda's things delivered to Mark's place. She interrupted him a couple of times for more details. When he finished, she said, That's wonderful. I'll be telling that story for years. I think we've covered everything. Please stop by on Monday and give me a retainer so we can get started officially. I will have the paperwork ready soon. Do you know where you might go yet? No, but I hope to know by the time I reached your office on Monday. As they were ready to end the call, Jim asked, I know it's a long shot, but do you have any advice on how to talk to my kids about this? I know it's hard, and I can't offer ways to make it easier for them or for you. Best of luck. Once the call ended, John turned off the lights and went to bed. He was surprised at how easily he fell asleep. Sunday, Jim slept better than he thought he would. He woke up to the soft sounds of kids playing. He got up and made his way to the kitchen. "Hey, there's Sleepyhead," Allie teased. "Here's your coffee, strong and black." "Right." Jim nodded his thanks. "I made some pancakes for the kids earlier. There are a couple left if you want them warmed up." John had to go to the store for eggs and bacon. If you'd rather wait for him, pancakes sound perfect. Allie warmed the pancakes and served them with butter and syrup. While watching him eat, she asked, "How did your talk with Karen go last night?" "It went as well as I could have hoped. She helped me see things more clearly, and we'll start on the divorce papers Monday. She liked the part about having Linda's things sent to Mark's house. Now comes the tough part." Allie nodded with a hint of sadness. When Jim finished his pancakes, he joined his children in the living room. Tommy, we need to have a talk." Jim felt the weight of those 4 words. "I want you to understand that your mom and I had a big disagreement. We will be going home soon, but Mom will stay with one of her friends for a while." "What did you argue about?" Emma asked. "We had different views on her going out Friday nights and the people she goes out with." "Will she stay with one of those friends?" Emma wanted to know. "I'm not sure where she will be staying." "How long will Mommy be gone?" Emma asked. "I don't know. It might be quite some time." Linda took a moment to herself, trying to hold back tears. "Maybe my phone has enough battery to make some calls while it charges." Linda hurried to the bedroom, where her phone worked as long as it was plugged in. "Mom," Linda said. When her mom answered, "Hello, Linda. What can I help you with?" Linda felt a chill through the phone. "Mom, I know I've messed things up badly. I know you're upset, but I need your help. Could Dad rent a truck and come to pick me up?" Linda cried, "Yes, we are disappointed in you and your choices, but you are our daughter. Jim told us what happened and that he had your things delivered. Where are you?" Linda felt ashamed. She didn't even know where she was, but her husband did. Tears streamed down her face, covering the phone. She asked, "Mark, what's your address?" She told her mother the address. "And where should we take your things?" "Mom, I don't know. I haven't spoken with Jim. Can they stay in your garage for a day or two while I sort things out?" "Yes, we can do that. The snow is melting fast and the road crews are working hard. Your dad checked the address and said we should be able to get a truck and arrive by mid-afternoon. We'll head out now," they said. "There, goodbye." Linda thought about calling Dee, but decided she had nothing to say. She left her phone charging and went downstairs. For the first time since arriving, Linda got dressed. She couldn't find her undergarments and remembered giving them to Jim a long time ago. Her dress was wrinkled from being tossed. Aside, Mark was watching a replay of a game he missed. He looked up as Linda came down the sun. "Hey, you look really nice in that dress. My parents are getting a truck and should be here to pick me up this afternoon," Linda said as she flopped onto the couch. "How about getting us snacks and drinks from the kitchen? I bet you're too tired to play right now." "Yep," Linda thought. "I'm too tired." She smiled at the thought. "Allie, you don't have to make us lunch. I've already been too much trouble. We should get going." "Nonsense. You and the kids are no trouble. Besides, I know your cooking skills. You're staying. I won't let you starve my niece and nephew," Allie said with a warm smile. So it was decided Jim and John were planning to have a good time with the kids. Allie took her phone to her room and called her sister-in-law's mother. "Hello, Allie. It's been a while since I heard from you." "Hi, Rebecca. I'm sorry it's taken so long, but I need to talk to you about Jim and Linda." "Yes, we know Jim visited us yesterday to update us good, so I'm not sharing news you don't already have." "That's right. We've been aware that there was an issue for several months. We are very disappointed in Linda's actions. We stepped in when we saw her with her friends, but we didn't expect this. What are your plans now? As upset as we are with her, she is still our daughter. We will let her stay with us for now." "That's good. At least she will have support. Actually, Jeff and I are on our way to pick her up from Mark LaValle Ayers. Do you know where Jim is? We couldn't reach him to let him know we were coming. He's here right now. He probably has his phone off. How are Emma and Tommy? Do they know what is happening?" "They're fine. Jim told them Linda will be staying with a friend for a bit. I think that is the best for them right now." "I agree. Do you have any idea what Jim will decide to do? I'm pretty sure he is considering divorce. He spoke with a lawyer last night. I'm sad to hear that, but I can't really blame him. I would feel the same way if Jeff did something like that." "I understand." Allie replied, "Do you think talking to someone could help them if they are open to it? I don't see how it could hurt. Do you know anyone who could help?" "No, but I will see what I can find." "Sounds good. I need to go now. We're picking up the truck." "Please keep in touch, you too." Allie sat quietly thinking about how Jim and Linda could work through this and stay together once again. She called Sam. "Hey Sam, thanks for recommending Karen Newsom. She talked to Jim last night and had a long conversation." "Yeah, she called me this morning, really excited to thank me and ask about Jim. She saw a video of Linda leaving Jim at the club online and wanted to reach out to him. I think she will do a great job with him. She really believes in loyalty and relationships." Laughing, Allie asked, "Do you know a good counselor? I'm not sure if couples counseling will help, but Jim might need help moving forward." "I'm sorry. I don't know anyone good. The couples counselor we saw just wanted us to move on without really addressing the issues. I wouldn't recommend her. That's not what I need. Thank you." Allie hung up the phone. Maybe counseling wasn't the best idea, after all. She knew Jim would not be open to a counselor like the one Sam had seen. She thought about how much she cared for both of them, and how much she wanted to see them happy together. She just didn't understand where things went wrong. She didn't want either of them to feel hurt, but she couldn't see a future where they were together. This made her sad, not just for them, but for the whole family. A knock on the door brought her back to reality. She noticed tears were coming down her face and quickly wiped them away as John walked in. "We're starting to get hungry downstairs," he said, noticing her red eyes. "Hey, what's wrong, sweetheart?" "Nothing. Just thinking about Jim and Linda. I care about them so much, but all I see in their future is pain." "I understand," John said softly. "Should I make sandwiches for lunch?" "No, I'll be right down. Just give me a minute to splash some water on my face." A few minutes later, Allie poked her head into the kitchen and asked what kind of sandwiches should I make. "Who wants soup with theirs?" "Lasagna will have to wait until dinner." The kids were more excited about the meal than the adults. It helped lift everyone's spirits. The talk flowed easily as they ate. In the early afternoon, Mark and Linda heard a truck pull up outside, followed by the doorbell. Mark didn't move to answer the door. "That must be your parents here to pick you up. You go out front and show them the garage door while I open it so you can load your things," he said. Linda walked outside and led her parents to the garage as it opened. Her father opened the truck and they all started loading boxes. It didn't take long, but Mark stood silently by watching without helping. No one said anything until all the boxes were in the truck. Linda suddenly remembered her phone was still upstairs on the charger. She rushed past Mark to get it, but paused for a moment to see the mess in her room. Feeling overwhelmed, she hurried down the stairs and into the garage. As she went past Mark, he reached out as if to say goodbye. She pushed his hand away, but noticed her dad stepping towards Mark. "It's okay, Dad," she said. "I'm looking forward to seeing you again," Mark said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Linda climbed into the truck between her mom and dad. She dreaded the conversation during the drive back to her parents' house. Soon she realized the silence was even harder because she was stuck talking to herself, and she was being harsher on herself than her parents would have been. By late afternoon, John's house was filled with the smell of lasagna. Even Emma and Tommy were curious about it. Allie assigned tasks. Emma and Tommy set the table, Jim made the salad, and John picked out a bottle of wine. Allie took 2 big casserole dishes out of the oven and put in a long loaf of French bread. The plates were filled and emptied quickly. Seconds were offered and enjoyed while the adults cleaned the kitchen. The kids watched another movie. "John, Allie, I really appreciate we ate your help this weekend. I need to go home and get things back to normal for the kids and me. We need to sleep in our own beds, wake up at the usual time, go to school, and go to work. Life is going to be different for a while, but we all need as much stability as we can get." Allie replied for both of them. "Jim, you, Emma, and Tommy are always welcome here as much as you need. We understand you need to handle what you can since the next few weeks will be tough. We care about you and will be here whenever you need us." Jim saw tears in Allie's eyes and felt his own eyes getting wet. Jim walked to the doorway and called to his kids. "Guys, pack up your things. We need to get home before it gets too late." They hurried around gathering their things. "Jim, I made a second pan of lasagna for you to take home. It's ready, so you just need to heat it in the microwave. Don't forget to have a sound or some veggies with it." "Thanks, but that's enough for 2 meals." After saying their goodbyes with hugs, Jim left with his children. On the drive home, everyone was quiet. Jim wondered if Emma and Tommy were also thinking about what the future would bring. When they got home, Jim reminded them, "Tomorrow is a school day, so you need to shower and get ready for bed. If you hurry, we can watch some TV before bed." That was all it took. They hurried upstairs. Tommy was the first back, flipping through channels to find something for them to watch. Emma walked quietly into the kitchen where Jim was putting away the lasagna. Surprising him, she asked, "Are you and Mom getting a divorce?" Jim turned from the sink and Emma ran to him for a hug. A quick thought flashed through Jim's mind, and the truth came out. "I'm afraid so, sweetheart." Tears streamed down both their faces as Jim added, "But we both love you, and we will always be your parents." Why can't we stay together as a family? Does Mom have another friend? Wow, where did a 13-year-old learn all this? Jim thought out loud. He said, "Let's just say, your mom and I have realized we don't feel the same way about each other as we did when we got married, and I believe everyone will be happier if we don't live together anymore." "Is that why Mom goes out on Friday nights without us?" Straight to the point. You're very perceptive, Jim thought. Yes, that's part of the problem, but I'm not sure if it's the cause or the effect. Either way, there's a lot of sadness. Do you dislike Mom? No, sweetheart, I love your mom a lot. That's why I'm feeling this way. I will miss her, just like you and Tommy will, but we've changed so much over time. If you still love her, why can't we all stay together? Jim smiled at his innocent, thinking, there are adult things going on that I'm not ready to talk about with you and Tommy yet. Let's just say there are some matters love alone can't fix. You mean, is she with someone else? I know I'm not ready to share details about my life with my 13-year-old daughter. I really don't want to say anything that might make you feel bad about your mom. So she left? That's why she's not here. right? Are you really going to let me dodge that question, knowing I won't lie to you? You know that's an answer, right? How did you become so wise? Jim asked with a small smile to lighten the mood. I have smart parents. Well, I have one smart parent. Emma grinned. Does Tommy know anything? Who are you kidding? Tommy? He has no idea? Emma chuckled. Let's keep it that way for now. Okay, sure, Dad. What about you are you doing? Okay, I'm upset with Mom. I can't believe what she's done to us. But other than that, I'm okay. I don't want you to be upset with your mom. I want you to talk with her too. Right now, you've only heard my side. You deserve to hear her thoughts as well. I don't expect you to tell her what we talked about, but you should have that talk. Emma hugged her dad again. Tommy shouted, Are you guys coming or what? Emma laughed. See, clueless. After the movie, they all settled down. Her parents helped Linda move her boxes from the truck into their garage while her father returned the truck. Her mom helped Linda sort through the boxes and find the clothes and other things she would need on Monday. There wasn't much conversation, just small talk about what they were doing. Neither knew how to bring up the important topic that was hanging in the air. It was her father, when he walked back in, who started the conversation. What's that on your neck? Reached up to cover the mark and burst into tears, sobbing hard enough that she needed support to keep from falling. Her mother stepped in and guided her daughter to a chair at the kitchen table. She made a pot of tea and poured 3 cups. With all 3 sitting at the table, Rebecca said, Calm down, dear, and whenever you're ready, share what you need to share. We love you and we are here for you no matter what. Now, sip your tea. Linda kept crying for a few minutes. Her parents waited quietly. Their faces did not show the disappointment Linda expected. Instead, they showed love and support. Linda tried to speak, but all that came out were hiccups. Finish your tea and I'll get you some more, Rebecca said. Finally, the hiccups stopped. Linda kept her gaze on her cup. Mom, Dad, I've made a big mistake. I can't even explain how bad things are. You know, I left Jim on Friday to be with Mark, and you saw I was still with Mark when you picked me up this afternoon. I know you found my things at Mark's house after I left. I'm sure you figured out that I crossed lines with Mark more than once. It was only supposed to be one night. Then I'd go back to Jim, but then we got stuck because of the snow. Then we discovered that Jim had sent my things to Mars. Dee said Jim would be upset, but thought he loved me enough to let me have that one night. She said it could even help my marriage. Dee told me that when her husband, Dave, finds out she's been with someone else, he's upset for a week or 2, but then she shows him all the love and he forgives her. Dee told Mark about how I felt and that I was going to the club with Jim. Dee knew Mark liked the attention from being with a married woman while her husband was around. Everything was in place. We all played our roles except Jim. He fronted us as we were leaving. Jim stood up to Mark. Mark hit Jim once. Things could have gotten really bad. I believe Mark would have hurt Jim, but 2 security guards stepped in and broke it up. I left with Mark. You can imagine what happened next. I'm too ashamed to talk about it. I did let Mark put a temporary tattoo on my neck. I thought it would wash off, but I found out it lasts a couple of weeks. Oh, I've ruined everything. Jim hates me. He's already kicked me out. My marriage is over. My kids will blame me. Linda broke down in tears again. Her parents exchanged looks, surprised by how honest she was and how she could say so much without falling apart. Moving closer, Rebecca wrapped her arm around Linda and said, There. Now that we've talked about this, we can start to heal. Let's get you a nice warm shower and then to bed. Her mother took Linda upstairs, helped her get what she needed for her shower, and then talked her into bed. Linda fell asleep as soon as her head hit the pillow downstairs. Her parents sat back at the table. Rebecca started the conversation. That was hard. Did you record it? Yes. I wasn't sure it was a good idea, but we can always delete it later. There wasn't really much new information. I think we should keep it for now. I don't know how it could ever help, but who really knows what the future will bring. Jeff set his phone down. Do you think they have any chance? I doubt it, but we can't tell Linda that you're right, Jeff replied with a heavy heart. When she feels a bit better, we should encourage her to get tested. Yep. After Linda and her family left, Mark quickly edited the videos he had taken and packed up a box with all the toys he and Linda had used that weekend. He didn't bother cleaning them, just put in a USB drive and a short note for Jim. Jim, Linda had a great time with these toys over the weekend, so we thought you both might like to keep them as a memory. The videos on the USB might help if you need to learn how to use them. The tattoo on her neck shows that she's connected to me. Next time we get together, we'll make it permanent. Thanks for letting me spend time with her. I'm looking forward to our next meeting. Mark. Mark arranged for a courier to pick up the package and send it to Jim's workplace. The next morning, Monday, getting Emma and Tommy ready for school went smoothly. Everyone was dressed, fed and out the door on time. Jim arrived at work half an hour early as usual. He checked his calendar for upcoming meetings, looked over his open projects, and cleared his inbox. He also checked his team's calendar and noticed no one had any time off scheduled this week. While he was finished wishing this, Gary knocked and entered. Whenever you're ready, can you stop by my office? Jim nodded. Sure, I'll be there soon. Great, bring your coffee. Then Gary left 10 minutes later with a coffee cup in hand. Jim knocked on Gary's door. "Close the door and take a seat. Thanks. I'm not surprised to see you here this morning. I know you work hard, but after Friday, I think you could use some time off." "You're right. I went over everything this morning. I can move our handoff tasks to take the rest of the week off with little issue. Is that okay?" "Of course, not a problem at all. Is there anything else we can do for you?" "I'm not sure yet. I'm still sorting through everything. I don't mean to pry, but if you want to talk, I'm here. I've known you and Linda for a long time and consider you both friends. If you need someone to listen or share with, I'm here. You already know a lot. Since our talk on Friday, I've learned they got stuck in the snow. It's not surprising. The storm was really bad. I think she's staying with her parents." "How are the kids, Emma and Tommy?" "Right? Yep, they're doing okay." I guess I told them Linda was with a friend. Emma questioned me about it. Jim couldn't believe how wise a 13-year-old could be. He smiled and added, "She even told me Tommy doesn't have a clue." Kids really do grow up fast. Changing the subject, Jim asked, "Have you seen the videos online?" "No, but I shouldn't be surprised. Everyone seems to be recording everything these days. What's out there?" "I haven't looked yet, but my lawyer said that my argument with Mark is all over the internet. I need to see how it looks, but I'm not sure I want to." "Could you take a look and tell me what you think? I'd be happy to check it out and let you know. Then you can decide if you want to see them. Why don't you initialize your time off, postpone your meetings, and reassign everything else? I'll get you some links before you leave. Then you should go home. Thanks. I have a meeting with my lawyer at 11:00, so I'll be here until about 1030. I need to get some new locks on my way back." Jim returned to his desk just as he finished getting ready for his week away. "Mike, the mail person arrived with a box. A courier just dropped this off for you. Since it was an overnight delivery, I wanted to give it to you right away. Thanks, but I wasn't expecting anything urgent. Wait, I'm leaving for the week, so I might need you to take this to someone else." Jim opened the box, but was taken aback by what he found inside. He pulled out a note, read it quickly, and put it back. He noticed Mike was blushing while trying to act normal about it. Mike was relieved to leave when Jim said, "I won't be sending this to anyone else." In his hurry, Mike almost bumped into Gary. "What was that all about?" Gary asked. Jim tilted the box for Gary to see. "Who's that from?" Gary asked. "Take a guess." "No, don't bother. It's from Mark." "Oh, here's a list of some sites with videos. They all show the same thing, but from different angles. From what I can tell, you come off looking good. It looks like Mark tried to hit you but missed. You don't need to watch them. You were there, and I doubt you need to see it again. They might help your lawyer, but you said she has already seen them." She seemed quite pleased with them. "She thinks they could help with the custody case." "Yeah, I can see why she can't deny she's leaving with Mark. And in some videos, you can hear parts of your talk with her." Gary chuckled. "I bet your lawyer would love to have that box too." "I guess you're right. And Mike was with you when you opened it, right?" "Yeah, so he can vouch that you haven't changed anything in it." "Oh, I get what you mean. Good idea. All right, just clear out and go see your lawyer." "Okay, I'm on my way." The sun shines brightly when Lind woke up all by herself. This was the first time in a long time she had slept alone. Thinking back, she realized it was the first time since her marriage that she had a night to herself, except for Jim's business trips. Tears started again as she curled into a ball. Rebecca, her mother, had been checking on her from time to time, wanting to let her daughter rest as much as she could. This time, hearing Linda's soft cries, she knocked on the door. "Come down for breakfast." "I'll be right there, Mom. I called your work to let them know you were feeling unwell." "Thanks, Mom." Linda slipped on a rope, washed her face, and headed downstairs. Even before reaching the kitchen, she could smell the coffee and waffles with syrup. Her dad was at the table, sipping coffee from his mug with an empty plate in front of him. "If you'd slept any longer, I would have had another waffle," her dad joked. Linda poured herself a mug of coffee and added a little milk. Just as she sat down, her mom placed a big, steaming waffle in front of her. Her dad slid the butter and syrup closer. Her mom joined them with her own cup of coffee. As the butter melted on her waffle, Linda poured syrup over it and said, "I think we need to talk." Her mom replied, "We do. Do you want to start or should I?" Looking at her waffle, Linda chose to go first. "I'll start. I want to say I'm sorry for asking you and Dad to come get me from Mark's house. I feel ashamed about how I acted this weekend. I know you didn't raise me to behave like that, and I'm not sure what got into me." "It's not just about this weekend," her dad began, but Rebecca interrupted. "Jeff, let me take this for now. It will be confusing if we all talk at once. If I forget something, please mention it later. Your dad is right. Your behavior has been a concern for a while. Your nights out with friends, especially with Dee, led to some decisions that were not good. They may have made you think it was okay to ignore your responsibilities, but it was just a casual situation. I didn't love him and he didn't love me. It didn't mean anything. How can it be just casual? Those actions can connect people, not just physically, but emotionally too. My feelings were separate. What happened didn't affect my relationship with Jim. I still supported him. Are you saying that leaving with someone else in front of your friends was no big deal? He started it, not me. If he hadn't made it such a scene, I would have gone back to Jim the next morning. The weather just delayed my return. Linda, being unfaithful is serious, as is disrespect you showed both on Friday night. If you hadn't done that, we wouldn't be talking about this." Jeff was getting more restless until Rebecca gently placed her hand on his. "What makes you think you can just leave whenever you want? I've been a good partner all these years. I think I deserve some respect. Oh, and what respect does Jim deserve for being a faithful and kind partner? Linda got angry. No, he wouldn't treat me that way. With a slow, sad shake of her head, Rebecca said, I agree he wouldn't, but based on your view, it seems okay if he did. Linda wanted to argue, but her mom kept going, we need to see this differently. Regardless, you should get checked for any health issues you might have. That's not needed. I've been careful. I don't need a checkup. You can't be sure about other people. It's your responsibility. Okay, I'd feel embarrassed to get checked, but I guess I can go to a clinic. That's good. What are you planning to do next? Since you can't stay at Jim's, are you looking for a new place? Can I stay here until Jim lets me back? If you stay here, we need to set some rules. You will have to agree. You must come straight home from work each night and tell us where you are. No Friday night outings with friends. I'll have to talk to Jim to see when I can come back, Linda said, feeling frustrated. But you can't keep me here against my will. Since you aren't controlling your actions, we will, Jeff said, getting a gentle nudge from Rebecca. Rebecca suggested, why not call Jim? The sooner you talk, the better. At least you need to figure out how to get your car good. I'll call him from my room. Linda refilled her coffee and went to her bedroom. Linda felt anxious about calling Jim because she didn't know how to explain things or how they could fix their marriage. Then she thought maybe she should call DeFirst for advice. Dee answered, hey, what's going on? I had a meaningful time with Mark, Linda started. He's very supportive and we tried some new things. That's it. I want to hear everything. Are you still with Mark or back home? That's a touchy subject. I told you my things were sent to Mark's. Now I'm at my parents' house. I had to ask them to pick me up. I haven't heard from Jim since I left with Mark on Friday. Have you tried calling him once? But I missed him. I'm getting ready to call now. Any ideas on how to approach this? Not really, just say you're sorry for how things turned out. Let him know you still care and want to make things right, but avoid mentioning anything too personal. Thanks. Wish me luck. Tell me how it goes. They hung up, and Linda called Jim. Jim arrived early to meet Karen, his lawyer, but she was ready for him right away. I love when someone comes with gifts, she said, smiling at the box Jim was holding. It's not what you think. This has copies of our financial documents on this flash drive, Jim explained, taking it out of his pocket and handing it to her. She plugged it into her laptop and looked through the files for a moment. This is great. It's well organized and clearly labeled. You deserve some praise for this. So what's in the box? A present Mark gave me this morning? Karen pulled out the note and read it. He's really making you feel bad, isn't he, should? I ask what's on the flash drive. I haven't checked it. I have a good idea, but I'm not sure. I want to know for sure. Does that make sense? Yes? It does. It shows me you're a caring person, especially when it comes to Linda. As she tapped the flash drive against her laptop, she asked, is it okay if I look at it for you? I'd rather you didn't. I can't think of a way that will LDN be upsetting. I'd like to see if there's something helpful for your divorce. Besides, I'm just an unbiased party. Her smile made the room feel lighter. All right, but don't say I didn't warn you if you find something hard to handle. This time she smiled warmly. I've been warned, she teased back. She plugged in the drive and Jim appreciated that. She muted the sound and turned the screen away from him. Karen clicked through several files and checked their contents. You might want to look at these when you're by yourself. They wouldn't be suitable for your children. I don't usually suggest it, but you might want to have a drink while you watch. With your permission, I'd like to make a backup copy for the divorce. Yes, please go ahead and make a copy. Can I take pictures of the box and the note inside? Of course. Do you think Linda is aware that Mark sent you this last Thursday? I wouldn't have believed it, but today I'm not sure what she could do. What are your plans with all of this? I doubt I can get anything from Mark. He might not care since it's too late for any action, but it might help with custody, and just the idea of this being shown in court could speed up your divorce. Jim nodded. It's a shame we can't get Mark. I'd really like to hold him responsible. As I always tell my clients, don't act out of anger. If you do, you could lose custody. What happens next? I'll start working on your paperwork. How about coming by Wednesday afternoon at 4:30 to go over everything? I'll be there at 4:30. Do you know where and when you'd like her to be served? Not yet. I need to check some things. I heard her parents picked her up from Mars, and I believe she stayed with them last night. If she goes out with friends, I think it would be best to serve her at the club in front of everyone. Laughing, Karen replied, I like your thinking. Just then, Jim's phone rang. He checked the screen and turned it so Karen could see it was Linda calling, before answering on speaker. Hello, Jim, I'm really sorry. Where are you? Can I come over so we can talk? I don't think we have anything to talk about. Your actions last Friday made things clear. Besides, I just left my lawyer's office and I'm not going home yet. There was a loud cry before the call dropped. Jim and Karen exchanged glances and started laughing. Well, Karen, how about letting me take you to lunch? It might help keep things honest. I usually don't let clients buy me lunch, but since I want to keep things clear, I'll admit I like you. Lunch sounds like a good start. They left the office together. Rebecca heard Linda's cry from downstairs and rushed up to check on her. When Rebecca entered the room, Linda was sitting up, tears on her cheeks. Between sobs, Linda said he was with a lawyer. Rebecca sat next to her and hugged her, trying to comfort her. On his way home, Jim felt better. He had enjoyed talking with Karen at lunch. They shared several interests, and their conversation felt easy, even without mentioning planning Linda. He stopped to buy new locks for his doors. Once home, he moved Linda's car from the garage to the driveway and changed the garage code. Then he spent the afternoon replacing the door locks. He finished just in time before Emma and Tommy were due home from school. Instead of calling Linda to let her know her car was out front, he called Jeff Hay. Jeff Hay. Jim was surprised to realize he had things bothering him that he needed to talk about with a therapist. He turned off his computer, put the flash drive away, and went upstairs to bed, checking in on the kids' rooms along the way. He loved seeing them sleeping peacefully. Once in bed, sleep came slowly as thoughts from the day raced through his mind. Finally, exhaustion took over and he fell asleep. Linda cried herself to sleep. Tuesday went back to work for Linda, so she woke up early. Rebecca had breakfast ready by the time Linda got to the kitchen. Linda ate her breakfast and got ready for work. As she was leaving, her mom reminded her, "Don't forget to come straight home from work tonight." "Yee, ma'am, I remember," and she left. Jim got the kids off to school before settled down with his coffee to watch Linda's videos, this time with the sound on. The sound mostly showed that Linda was enjoying herself. 8 hours later, he had watched 9 of the videos. The conversations were mostly unclear and included some quick comments. He appreciated it when Mark added some surprises. He noticed that he did not hear any negative comments about himself. In fact, his name was not mentioned at all. He hid the flash drive to finish it on Wednesday and started getting dinner ready for the kids. "Thanks for the lasagna, Ali," he said in the calm house as he put it in the oven to heat up. At work, Linda shared stories from her girls' night out. Her friends wanted every detail. She couldn't recall everything because much of it felt like a blur, but she shared enough to keep them entertained throughout the day. They ended up not finishing much work and would be behind tomorrow. Jim felt happy when Emma and Tommy finally got home. Their presence filled the house with noise, making it feel more alive. They talked about their day over dinner. Tommy did well on his spelling quiz, and Emma solved a math problem on the board in front of her class. These moments were ordinary, but they felt important to Jim. He sent them to their rooms for homework and called Jeff. "Hey, Jeff, can you talk now?" "Sure. What do you need?" "This is more for Linda, but would she like to say goodnight to the kids?" "I'm surprised she hasn't called already, but I will suggest another thing. I told them she was visiting a friend. Tommy believes it, but Emma figured it out and asked if we are going to get a divorce. I didn't want to lie, so please let Linda know Emma might be upset. I can imagine that conversation will be tough for you. Thanks. It was hard, Emma. Thanks. Linda is leaving, but I haven't confirmed that yet. I asked her to keep it a secret from Tommy. I understand and will make sure Linda knows. Also, can she call on the landline?" "Sure. What time is good? Any time before bedtime? I'll tell her now." Jeff called upstairs to Linda's room. "Linda." "Yeah, Dad. Jim just called and asked me to suggest that you call and talk to Emma and Tommy. How could I not have thought about them? What should I say to them?" Linda wondered. Jeff shared what Jim had told him. 10 minutes later, Jim's home phone rang. "Ah, Tommy, please get the phone. It's your mom." Jim could hear them rushing upstairs to answer. The kids had been on the phone for 15 minutes when he heard Emma's door slam. Tommy came downstairs and said, "Mom wants to talk to you." "Thanks, Tommy. If you're done with your homework, you can watch TV until bedtime." As Jim picked up the phone, he heard the television turn on. Emma sounded upset. He interrupted. "Emma, you can't speak to your mother like that. I want you to say sorry to her. Your mom and I have our issues, but we both love you. Don't forget that." "No, I won't. She's breaking apart our family. I'm really upset." Emma hung up, leaving Linda and Jim in a tense silence. Jim spoke first. "I'm sorry you had to deal with Emma's anger. I hoped she'd be more understanding." "I understand her feelings," Linda replied, trying to hide her emotions. "I need to go," Linda said, then hung up. Allie and John were happy to take care of Emma and Tommy while Jim and Karen had dinner on Wednesday. They didn't focus much on the divorce during their time together. In fact, it was rarely mentioned. Jim couldn't explain why, but he felt growing feelings for Karen. He promised himself to stay true to his marriage and not act on those feelings. His principles guided him. Karen appreciated his honesty and respected him for it. On Thursday, Linda got her health test results. Everything was fine. On Friday morning, Linda told her parents she would be late because she was going out with her office friends. Rebecca tried to change her mind but did not succeed. Later that morning, Jim called Jeff to confirm that Linda would be served that day. He wasn't surprised to hear she was going out with her friends. Jim called Karen. "Hey, Karen, looks like we can't serve Linda at home today. She's going out. That might make things more interesting." Karen's excitement was evident even over the phone. "Oh yes, it was your idea. Remember, what if we serve her while she is out with her friends?" "I like that idea. Can we do it legally?" "And how legally?" "Yes, it's fine. Logistically, we can follow her from work. We would have the process server ready to tell us where she is. When the time is right, we send the server in. It might be expensive, but what do you think? I think it sounds good. Can we set it up quickly?" "I believe so. Do you have a recent photo of her besides the ones Mark sent back? If so, bring it to my office. I'll finish my other meetings and get started." "Okay, see you soon." Jim looked at his phone and saw some photos of Linda from the past year. When Jim got to Karen's office, she was talking to a man named Malcolm Edmond. Malcolm is a private investigator I sometimes work with. I've told him about the situation, and he can follow your wife when she leaves work. He'll keep us updated on where she goes and who she is with. He just needs to know where she works, what car she drives, and a picture of her, plus your phone number so he can reach you. I'd like to have 2 agents follow her if that's all right, Jim said. Of course, that sounds like a good plan, Karen agreed. Here's the information and picture you'll need. Thanks. I'll send this to Heather and Lauren. They are the agents who will contact you. Malcolm shook Jim's hand once more and left, talking on his phone before he was fully out the door. Good. We have the location figured out, Karen said. I found a process server who should be here soon to pick up the official papers I was thinking, Jim said with a big smile. How about dinner tonight? Then we could go to a club for some dancing and see you a show. Karen's eyes lit up at the idea you're reading my mind. How about you pick me up at 6? That will give me time to get home and change. I need to arrange for a sitter for the kids. I'll check with a couple of names we've used before. Karen pointed Jim to a small meeting room where he took out his phone and made some calls. In a few minutes, he had a sitter ready. The young man introduced in Karen's office was Don Matthews, who would be the process server for the night. Karen explained that they wanted to serve Linda in a way that would be public, but not too harsh. Don seemed a bit unsure until Jim shared more about the situation leading to the divorce. They agreed that Karen and Jim would let Don know where Linda would be, likely at a local club. Don would then watch Linda serve her the papers and take a picture to confirm it. He would decide on the timing. I have a sitter lined up, so we're all good, Jim said. I should head home to take care of the kids, feed them, and get ready. I'm really looking forward to tonight, mostly for the company. Jim smiled. Karen smiled back. That's sweet to say, me too. Linda left work on time, but did not go to her parents' house. Instead, she turned off her phone and went to Dee's apartment to get ready for the evening. She had bought a nice outfit earlier that day, which was just right for going out. Linda and Dee didn't notice the 2 extra cars parked nearby, or Heather and Lauren taking pictures of them as they walked to Dee's car. They met the others at the Hyatt Hotel on Henley for dinner. While they were eating, Dee mentioned that she had a special surprise for Linda when they arrived at the club, but kept the details to herself. As they finished their meal, Heather captured a video of Linda's actions. After the group paid their bill, Heather walked past Linda as she got into Dee's car. Heather and Lauren easily followed the group to Wilson's Red Row bar. Heather sent their location to Jim and Karen. Karen texted Don, told him where they were, and asked him to go inside, but wait for further instructions before deliver. During the documents, Don arrived 20 minutes later and went in to wait for more direction. This time, Lauren followed the group inside and took a seat at the bar, where she could easily keep an eye out on Linda in the mirror behind the bar. Lauren texted Jim and Karen to let them know where everyone was, but she warned them that the place was still quite empty, so they would be noticed if they tried to come in. The band was setting up while Linda and her friends ordered drinks and looked around at the other people in the bar. Linda was surprised when Daniel walked in by himself. She nudged Di and pointed him out surprise. Deed exclaimed, I thought you might like another chance with him. Linda remembered she had wanted to see him that night her parents caught her out, and now she felt excited about this new opportunity. Daniel walked right over to Linda's table and sat down next to her. Their conversation started off casually, but there was an undeciphorable tension between them. The club quickly filled up, and the band began to play. Daniel invited Linda to the dance floor, where they danced closely, feeling a strong connection. Linda was already dreaming about how the night might unfold. Lauren recorded a video of them dancing, and also noticed slipping something into Linda's drink. Eventually, they returned to the table, finished their drinks, and ordered more. Under the table, Linda was playfully touching Daniel, feeling a warm excitement. She nudged his hand to encourage him to get a bit closer. Lauren sent Jim and Karen some pictures of what was going on. The lighting was low under the table, but Linda's happy expression was clear. When Jim received the updates and saw the pictures from Lauren, he asked, Do you think they might go to their car to have some time alone? I know her friends have done that before. Maybe, or if they step out, they might just leave, Karen replied with a big smile. I'm willing to take that chance. What about you? Me too, Karen said with a smile. Jim sent messages to the team about the new plan, and they quickly replied to confirm. Lauren texted that it looked like Linda and her friend were heading to the parking lot. As the couple left the club, Jim noticed that Linda seemed a little wobbly. Jim's team got ready as the couple approached a car. Jim didn't recognize the man unlock the car and open the back door. They were so focused on each other that they didn't notice 5 people coming closer. Linda was clearly talking to him when Dawn went up to the open door. Excuse me, are you Linda Carlisle? Get out of here, yelled the man, not realizing what was about to happen. Miss Carlisle, are you Linda Carlisle? Yes, I am. So what? She replied, looking a bit confused. I need to give you something, Dawn said, holding out an envelope. Without thinking, Linda reached out and took it. In a flash, Dawn said you have been served and walked away. Karen and Jim, standing a few cars away, watched as Lauren and Heather filmed the moment up close. Linda yelled, Get off me! Come on, get off me! As she tried to push away from Daniel. Startled, he realized his night was over. He pulled up his pants, unsure of what to do. you, and just stood still. Linda managed to get out of the car. Once outside, she opened the envelope and pulled out the papers. In the dim light, she could see petition for dissolution of marriage at the top. She stuffed the papers back into the envelope, looked around, and when she spotted Jim, she collapsed in shock. Knowing what to do, Daniel got in the car and drove away, leaving Linda behind. Jim walked over and asked Lauren and Heather to help Linda back and safe side the club to her friends. They agreed, and then Jim and Karen left. Wow, that was more dramatic than I expected, Jim told Karen as they drove away. I almost feel sorry for her. I can't believe the guy just left her like that. What kind of person does that? I don't know. I feel a bit sorry too, but we shouldn't feel too bad. She brought this on herself. I bet Dee was involved too. I don't know her, but from what you've told me, I agree. I should get you home so I can relieve my sitter. It has been a fun evening. I've really liked spending time with you. I've enjoyed my time with you too. I hope you can speed up the divorce. I look forward to getting to know you better. Jim walked Karen to her door. They shared a moment before he returned to his car. Once the door closed, Karen leaned back against it, thinking about her nice time with Jim and looking forward to knowing him even more. After Linda shared what happened in the parking lot, her friends took stock of the situation. Everyone had a partner for the night except Linda. They decided they couldn't let her go home alone. Dee made the call. Mark, it's Dee. Do you remember Linda from last week? How could I forget? I enjoyed my time with her. Well, she's available tonight if you'd like to see her again. She's feeling really down after her husband gave her divorce papers. I think she could use some company. Where and when? Where at Wilson's Retro. You know it? Sure. I can be there in 20 minutes if everything goes smoothly. Would it be all right if I call Linda's parents to let them know where she'll be? Of course. Can you put the call on speaker? I'd like to hear both sides. Jim called Jeff to tell him where Linda was going. Karen arrived while Jim was talking with Jeff. I should go upstairs to tell my kids what's happening. Would you like to come up and meet them? I assume you'll want to speak with them too. Yes, we will, but I need to get another officer to be there. We can't talk to minors alone. Jake made the call. Can we find a private place to talk? Asked the officer. The kitchen will work. Is it all right if I listen too? Karen asked. Who are you? Jake inquired. I'm Karen Newsom. Sorry, said Jim. Karen, this is Detective Jake Mallow. And how do you fit into this? Jake asked. I'm helping Jim with his divorce. Jake looked at Jim with surprise. You thought it was necessary to call your lawyer. She's not here as my lawyer. She's a good friend. Oh, just to be clear, are the two of you involved in something more? No, we've had a few meals together, and maybe once my divorce is settled, I hope we can start dating. I think it's fine for her to stay as long as she doesn't speak. I promise to stay quiet. They sat around the table. Jim shared everything that had happened, starting from the previous weekend and including the moment Linda fainted in the parking lot. He wrapped up with his day at the park with his kids and finding Linda on his porch. Soon, two female officers, Helen Hicks and June Maxwell, arrived. Jim introduced them to the children. They decided to speak with the kids in their rooms to make the situation feel less intimidating. Jim's interview continued in the kitchen. What do you think happened? Jake asked. I'm not entirely sure, but I think after getting the divorce papers, Linda might have seen Mark Lavalier again. What makes you think that last week, after she spent the weekend with him? He sent me a note, a package of souvenirs, and a flash drive with videos. I took a quick look at the bag. It seems to hold a collection of similar items. Do you still have what he sent you? Yes. It's upstairs in a closet on a high shelf to keep it out of reach. I can help you with that. I will go with you. Jim smiled at Jake's carefulness. Back at the kitchen table, Jake poked through the box with his pen. I don't see the flash drive. I have it in my office. I started watching it after talking to my lawyer. Jim said with a smile, winking at Karen. Do you need that too? I haven't finished it yet. Yes, it could be important. We'll return everything to you. Okay, let's go. I don't really mind getting it back. They returned with the flash drive. Any more questions? No, not right now, Karen spoke up. I would like copies of the new flash drives and photos of the evidence, as it may help with the divorce, child custody, and other legal matters. I can manage that. You'll need to stop by the pre-kin to request it officially. That works for me. Just a couple of quick questions for you, and then we're done. Can you confirm that you and Mr. Carlisle are not in a romantic relationship? That's a complicated question. Let me explain. I had never met Jim before he came to my office on Monday to hire me for his divorce case. We have had lunch and dinner a few times, not just for business. We were together the night his wife received the divorce papers. We planned it together. We have shared friendly gestures when saying goodbye, and Jim has not been to my house, and tonight is the first time I visited his. We haven't gone beyond those friendly gestures. However, I do feel attracted to Jim, and I think he feels the same. I hope that once his divorce is final, we will be together. When Karen finished speaking, it was hard to tell who among the three looked the most surprised. The officer cleared his throat. I suppose that answers any questions about your relationship for now. The three officers had a quick chat, gathered all the evidence, and left. Once the five were alone, Jim introduced Karen to his children as his good friend. Emma gave a knowing smile, but Tommy just accepted her for who she was. Jim started, "We've had a busy day, and I know you have questions. So where do you want to begin?" Tommy spoke up first. "Who was that on our front porch?" "That was your mom? Was she sleeping?" "No, they took her to the hospital to help her." "Why was she on the porch?" "I'm not sure, but I think one of her friends left left her there. It looked like she wasn't dressed. No, she wasn't. Why, I don't know. Can we go visit her? We'll have to wait until she's feeling better. But yes, we will visit her. Where has she been all week? She has been still staying with your grandparents? Why? Jim sighed he could no longer avoid the topic. Your mom and I had a disagreement. She felt she had the right to do something, but I didn't agree. Are you getting a divorce? Tommy seemed to have some idea. Yes, we are. I can't say it won't affect you, because it will. But your mom and I both care about you and always will. I saw those YouTube videos of you and Mark. Is Karen your new girlfriend? Jim was surprised by the comment, but it made sense. Tommy liked sports, and the video had gained a lot of attention. Right now, Karen is my lawyer and a good friend. After your mom and I are divorced, I do want to go out with Karen if she's interested. If she really cared about us, she wouldn't have done this. I understand that you're upset, and that's okay, Jim said kindly. We'd all have our challenges, and sometimes people make choices that hurt those they love. It doesn't erase the love that's still there, even if things feel different now. Emma wiped her tears and took a deep breath. I wish things could go back to normal. Me too, Jim replied. But we need to focus on helping each other through this. It's hard, but over time we can find a way to heal. Emma nodded, her eyes still wet with tears. Will we be okay? We will be okay, Jim assured her. It might take some time and we may need to face some tough truths, but I'm here for you and your brother. We will get through this together. After a moment of silence, they looked back at the room where Lyndall was resting. Jim opened the door and saw Jeff and Rebecca talking softly. They turned to look at him, their faces showing concern. Is everything all right? Jeff asked. We're just trying to help Emma understand, Jim replied, guiding her back into the room. Let's give her some space for now. As they shared a quiet family moment, Jim knew this wouldn't be easy, but together they could find their why forward with love and support. If she cared about us, she wouldn't hurt you like this. I know you hide your feelings, but I can see how much this affects you. That hurts both me and Tommy. It was a Saturday morning, a month after Linda got out of the hospital, when Linda called Jim. The kids were visiting their grandparents. Hello, Jim said when he saw her number. Jim, it's Linda. Jim wanted to hang up, but held back. Go, hi, Linda, what do you need? I just wanted to let you know I've moved out of my parents' house. Dad, I are sharing an apartment since she and Dave aren't together anymore. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry about what Dee and Dave know. I'm glad about that. Dave should have ended things long ago, but I'm sorry you'll be with Dee more. She isn't good for you, I know, but I couldn't stay at my parents' any longer. Why is that I had to contact Mark again for some medical reasons? The health department needed him to share some information, and it seemed he hadn't made many friends lately. I feel bad for him, Jim said, hoping his sarcasm came through. I've received treatment and I should be okay, but there's more. I'm going to have a baby. How did that happen? I thought you were taking birth control. I was, but with everything going on, I forgot. I didn't settle in for a while, and by then it was too late. I take it you don't know who the father is. Then, no, Linda said quietly. What are your plans? I'm not sure abortion is not an option. An option might be, but I don't know if I can do that. I don't think I can manage taking care of myself and a baby. I don't know what to say. Are you going to say I got what I deserved? No, I'm not like that. Karen and I are doing well. We're exclusive, but not moving forward until my divorce is finalized. Jim thought he heard a sad sigh on the other end. Linda, why did you call? You don't think there's a future for us, do you? No? I know that's too much to ask. I wanted you to tell the kids they are getting a brother or sister. Emma is always upset with me, and I don't want to face her. Okay, let me know your decision. I'll figure out how to tell them at Belog. In the end, Linda had a miscarriage. Jim never had to tell Emma and Tommy. Emma accepted Linda's apology, and they began to rebuild their relationship. Jim and Karen kept seeing each other until Jim's divorce was final. They both felt that Jim's marriage vows were important, so they chose to wait before moving on. Jim proposed the day after his divorce was official, and Karen said yes. They were relieved that the kids were at their grandparents' house for the weekend. Because Jim didn't return home on Friday or Saturday night, sleep was hard to come by. On Sunday, when Jim and Karen picked up the kids, Linda was there. Jim took her aside. I want to let you know that Karen and I are getting married. I'm not surprised. Emma has been telling me how close you two are. I wish you both happiness. I just wish I could have given you that happiness. With tears in her eyes, Linda hugged Jim and he embraced her back. I don't know if you heard, but Mom encouraged me to see a counselor to help me understand my past and move on. I hope that helps you and brings you peace. Would you like me to leave while you share your news? Say or go whatever is best for you. Linda decided to stay. They announced their news, and everyone was happy. Jim and Karen got married a month later. As for Mark, Karen never figured out how Jim could find a way to get back at him. 2 weeks ago, Mark made the mistake of pursuing a married woman. Sadly, the couple didn't leave quickly enough. The woman's husband found them while they were waiting for Mark's car. This led to serious problems. Mark, trying to get away, ended up facing his own troubles. Because of it, he learned an important lesson that he will remember for a long time. That one was wild, something to think about. Subscribe for more cheating to come. There will always be more cheating because people always cheat. Talk to you next time back, and bad dad.